Nice commentary, son.
Holy shit!
I hear myself thinking.
One little action can really make a whole huge deal in the entire set.
The you did was fucking stupid.
Happy feet! Combo combo! That ain't
PC survives that attack. Both players are on their feet again to hit each other. Oh my god!
Welcome to episode 6 of Directional Influence, brought to you by VVV Gaming. Yes, it's episode 6, our 6th anniversary. How awesome is that, guys? I'm joined here by my sort of awesome, I really don't like him though, Will, the DK man of Long Island. Now he's cool. He does stuff sometimes, and he almost died tonight. We're going to talk about that later. Nonchalantly, he just sort of died. Well, he almost did. That's not that bad. But Will, how, other than that, how are you doing?
I hate you too, Rapture.
That's cool, because I don't care about your opinion, so. And then, unfortunately, our other co-host, Punishing Divine, a.k.a. Matt, also of Long Island, is unable to join us tonight. He has, life. And I didn't know he had one until tonight. But with us is Doom also of East Coast. Doom, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm from New Jersey, actually. I see there's a little confusion as to where my state was, but
yeah.
Don't worry.
No, I just go.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just like this random swirl of Mennonites that are just kind of floating around.
It's actually a breeding ground, and I wasn't sure if it extended over New Jersey, so I was like, East Coast.
The state just is a tornado. And, I was really surprised to hear that Matt has a life too, but I'm glad to be here filling in for him.
Yeah, so we're glad to have Doom here. Glad he could join us and escape the Bat Cave for a little bit. And with that said, along with Doom and myself and Will, we'll be talking about the banning of infinites in Brawl. And we all know what infinites are, but should they be banned? Because, fuck the Ice Climbers. Will, we got some opinions. Will has some opinions. Zoom has some opinions. We're going to talk about that. Along with that, the return of our upcoming tournament segment. We will be discussing, or naming and discussing, the upcoming tournaments across the land and the non-existent country of Canada. And that's for all regions. Make sure you check those out. And then finally, we will be discussing how to not die at a library and or your Smash Bros. Tournament, because Will has perfected the art. As of tonight, Will almost died, as I said, which is not really that cool.
He has really good DI.
I was gonna say, he really got out of there. I heard you were air camping him a bit, weren't you? Well,
my up B break, it's got that fast aerial mobility, so I got out of there in a hurry.
And yeah, it's pretty good. And conveniently, all the bodies were. Well, I don't want to tease you guys a little bit. I don't want to spoil it. With that said. Episode 6, Directional Influence, coming at you right the fuck now.
You already know.
Alright, so this past weekend, we had a tournament in New Jersey at one of the major venues in New Jersey now. It's called Velocity 17, which is conveniently and, nominally located off of Route 17 North, so it's really easy to find. And it's actually...
right on 17.
Yeah, it's definitely not hard to find at all, and it's a very large venue, probably one of the bigger ones that we've seen in New Jersey. Definitely bigger than pretty much anything in New York besides like Polytech University.
Yeah.
Velocity 17. You want to talk a little bit? Yeah, I was gonna say, you want to talk a little bit about it, Doom?
Yeah, no problem. Velocity 17 is actually an indoor go-kart track as well as an arcade, and it has a whole bunch of party rooms and, like, indoor roller rink and all that stuff. It's kind of ridiculous how multi-purpose the place is. And the only reason that we've been able to have that venue so many times is because of the company King of the Couch, which is, centered in New Jersey. It's actually, I believe, affiliated with GameStop. And Alex Strife, JG Wentworth, and I have been able to host there a couple times. And, only with a $10 venue fee, which is kind of steep for Smash, but either way, to get a venue of that size and, like, the clean open space with all the chairs and all the space, everything, it's great. And only through that company were we able to get that with such a low price for the Smashers. So big shout-outs to King of the Couch beforehand. Definitely great organization going on there as far as just getting venues for us. Velocity is also convenient by location, like Will said, right on a big highway in New Jersey.
Thinking back, since Long Island did attend this tournament, since I'm the best carpool ever, and I always get.
It seems like you're the only carpool.
Yeah, I am.
Everyone straps to your car.
In New York, you're the only car.
It was me, it was Vinny, it was DeBuzz. But anyway, it'll come to me. Well, obviously they're not important.
Right.
Basically.
Pop monsters.
It wasn't a terribly large turnout, but that was for the most part. We already pretty much knew that was going to happen because, I'm pretty sure that Doom only got this tournament out and posted like a week right before it happened because Qatar was a big event and he didn't want to steal any hype from that. So
I had that 1 week hype. I found out about like 10 days before the date of the tournament, and I waited to post the thread until after Qatar. We did have about 32 people show up and 26 entrants in singles, so it wasn't.
Yeah, which is not terrible at all. Like that's
for 1
very
week.
good for only having like a week in advance. So, let's see, what can we talk about? Doubles occurred.
Doubles was
I was
very
actually
small.
really. Yeah, doubles wasn't a very large event, but I was pretty hyped for that because, I got to team with the doubles god himself.
He is the doubles god.
I know all of you guys know what I'm talking about. In case not, it's Inui himself, Lord of Doubles.
Everybody knows.
And it was the first time I ever got to team with him, so I was really hyped about that. I didn't want to let him down or anything. But
You carried, son. You carried.
I don't know. Like, basically, we did very well. Some of the teams we had to play, I believe, the first team we actually played Doom and DM Brandon.
Oh, that was a good time.
And they were trolling the hell out of us because I'm pretty sure Doom went Meta Knight, which is like, expected, but then like DM Brandon's going like Mario. So they had some Mario MK going on. It was pretty fun.
it was a good time. We got in free, so whatever. My tournament, my not paying.
And then we played Nairo and ADHD, and that's where things really fell apart because we just got totally destroyed, and I just started yelling at Inui, and they're incredible, both of them.
Those two have not dropped a tournament yet. They have won everything they've entered.
Yeah, but basically, just imagine an incredibly recklessly aggro Meta Knight with like banana support behind him, so like it doesn't matter if he makes any mistakes because he's covered by like banana locks into combos. It's not fun to experience, but it's fun to watch, I guess.
It is fun to watch. It's also funny to watch.
And then after that, we were knocked out by in losers finals by Zuko and Shadow somehow 0-3. I was playing very well in doubles in my opinion, but I mean I'm ass in doubles according to Inui, so that didn't go very well. But basically, what were we gonna say about about Inui Doom? Do you remember?
Inui was gonna purchase some cigarettes with those food stamps he got, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, so basically that was the reason we lost losers, and we'll let him ponder about that. And I'm sure you have no idea what we're talking about, Rapture, but we promise that it's the truth. So that's all you need to worry about.
I've just been listening and hey, this would have been cool if you guys played on the go-kart track. Like you had the tournament on the go-kart track. Like that'd be extreme. I'd pay to watch that.
That would be hype.
I wouldn't even play. I would watch. I'd watch you guys play because I'd be driving the go-karts. Trying to knock you guys out.
Like at one of the bigger KOTC events at V17, I think one of the ones that Alex hosted, like the top 5 or something got like free rides on go-karts.
Yeah, the top 4 had a go-kart race. It was ridiculous. ADHD won.
I think I had a money match with somebody in Seeking in April on the go-kart track.
Oh yeah.
I think I made like $3 off that. That was sick. I forgot who I raced though. Shit, I was so hyped because that's the only money I won that day.
Anyway, back to teams. We saw ADHD and Nairo taking first place, which is kind of expected. Second was Zuko and Shadow, as you could tell by Will saying that he lost to them in losers finals. And fourth place was Vinny and Snakey. They were surprisingly easy when Snakey was zero suit, which is not what's supposed to happen because they're supposed to be doing the bucket team. But Snakey's Meta Knight actually really surprised DM and I when we played them in losers. I really did not expect it to be that difficult. But yeah, DM and I got slapped. No big deal. Kind of just having fun. But we're both booty, so whatever. But that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Teams is great. I love teams. Will loves teams, especially when he teams with the doubles god. But,
yeah, it was actually fun teaming with someone who, kind of knew what they were doing in doubles. Instead of, for the most part, I usually team with, a low tier. And I'm really, really happy when we get, 5th, because that's, amazing. Like a DK and, Link or DK and Mario, so.
So, onto singles, which was, much larger, even though there were a total of 16 people in the teams bracket, with 8 teams, 26, or 27, was it? 27, I think, entered singles. Again, people just need to step it up and enter teams more. But either way, at the top of the list, we saw Nairo taking first place and ADHD in second. ADHD had to leave early. He offered to split first and second with either Nairo or Vinny if they both made it to or if one of them made it to grand finals, or split top 3 if they would be the top 3. And Nairo did make it to grand finals, so he got the first in the results thread, and he split first and second with ADHD as far as money goes. Third place, we saw Zuko, which was kind of surprising, but not really surprising because we also saw Zuko taking second at that large School is in Session tournament in Ohio. Definitely been stepping it up lately, showing that, Junebug hasn't quite overthrown him yet, and, he's still a contender for best or one of the best Lucarios on the East Coast.
No, yeah, definitely. Zuko is amazing. I don't care what you have to say, because, from my experience, anytime I've played him, I've yet to beat Zuko in a set. We've always come really close, game 3. Actually, this time, when I got up to him in loser's bracket after I lost to ADHD in winners, I had a pretty close, pretty hype set, I would say, with him.
So in fourth place, we saw Snaky, which I think that is definitely worth noting, because Snaky has been on a terrible streak lately. At Qatar, we saw a really poor performance from him, and at a lot of tournaments leading up to this. But aside from his first place finish at at one of the last King of the Couch events, he really hasn't done anything. But that fourth place, really impressive. I believe he beat Vinny, which is another upset. Minty, I believe he also beat Minty or Inoue.
Yeah, it was a really close set. I watched him versus Minty, actually. He realized that he has pretty much no options to get on the stage versus Marth as ZSS, so on his third stock, I think he was over 200%, and he just kind of started planking a little, and his option to get onto the stage, he did some sort of crazy, he jumped underneath the stage, up bead, down bead, and grabbed the edge, I don't know. But yeah, he ended up beating Minty, and he had a really close set with Zuko. I'm pretty sure the same exact thing happened to him game 3. He was up in the lead, and then Zuko took it.
Yeah, he really gave up a big opportunity to time him out. He got a little sloppy on the edge, but that's neither here nor there. Planking Zero Suit is not that difficult to deal with, unfortunately. Other notable things, we saw D1, the old New York legendary Falco, come back.
D1! Oh, I love D1 so much. Oh, that's another person I drove. I drove D1 to this. How the hell could I remember?
Yeah.
I could not remember. Oh, man. Yeah, D1 is one of my fellow Deadly Alliance brethren. He's in my crew, and he's an amazing person to have in the carpool. Not to mention that when he hooked up his iPod, he had this trance going on that was ridiculous, because he goes to the club all the time, so he's got that music going.
D1, my dude.
So we definitely had an amazing time. And, of course, after the tournament, me and Vinny actually split for 5th. So Long Island was stuck at 5th place at this tournament, but, it's okay. Because as bummed as I was, I still thought I did really well, because I ended up beating, Doom, the DK Slayer himself, with us.
Yep, that's me.
With us tonight. We had a really, really close set, except for, an unfortunate technical error on his part.
Man. Yeah, so game 3 against Will, I accidentally did a rogue side B in the wrong direction instead of tornadoing, or I don't even know what I was trying to do, but it was not trying to side B. And Will just had that adrenaline reaction, being in that, that game 3 that pressure environment, of somebody who's really good against his character, and he just read the side and did a really ridiculous down air to punch combo on me to take an enormous lead that led him to victory in the set. Really, really kind of crazy. I don't know how he did it. I blame magic, but
You could blame ginger tactics, like
Yes.
Kai would say.
I'm gonna side with Kai on this one. It was all the ginger tactics.
So, back is the upcoming tournament segment, which is right now. After discussing an awesome tournament that just happened this past weekend, we're going to talk about tournaments coming up this weekend and, possibly other ones. First off, for Atlantic North, happening in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Super DS03, this weekend on the 9th. I believe Chibo is involved in that one. And for Melee, on that same day in College Park, Maryland, Shell-Shocked for 9, actually. Shell-Shocked 9, IX for Melee. And later in the future, we have Great Revival, hosted by Inui, which will be November 20th at Neptune City, New Jersey. And at the relatively same time, for Melee, Revival of Melee 3 in Nanuet, New York, as well as MLG-DC, which is coming up this month, so please be on site for that too. For Atlantic South, Brawl and Melee 2 Awesome, October 9th, this Saturday, Opelika, Alabama. October 16th and 17th, Tipped Off 6 for Melee. For Brawl, Voodoo Smash on the Bayou 2 this weekend on Saturday, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then one tournament I'm going to skip for right now because it's pretty awesome, can't mention it. For Midwest, we got Melee Hot Diggings Remix, October 23rd, St. Louis, Missouri. Brawl, Brainshock Alpha, November 27th, Iowa City, Iowa. And then for another tournament from Brawl on October 30th, Columbus, Ohio, Delta Upsilon 5. In Southwest, make sure you put this on your calendars, MLG Dallas, the last event of the season, November 5th to the 7th. Be sure you're there. We got Smash, Halo, all the awesome games. I believe the Halo Reach exhibition is going on that too. So if you play Halo, why are you listening to this? But you can play. Brawl Hobo 28, October 9th, Houston, Texas. Also in Houston, Texas, Melee Insane Triumph 2, October 23rd. And on the West Coast, which doesn't seem to have a lot of Brawl anymore, speaking of which, Melee, it was ridiculous everywhere. Melee Stayed Alive KMA 2, October 9th, Claremont, California. And then on the 24th, Super Awesome Happy Fun Time Tournament, also for Melee, Chatsworth, California. And for all you Canadians, other than Ally, I don't know of any other ones, T-Block maybe. Speaking of him, Rock, Paper, Scissors, November 20th, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. If you want to check out all the information on all those tournaments I just mentioned, as well as any others coming out in your region, you can check out smashwords.com, all is Brawl, where you can check out the regional zones and the tournament listings for all the up-to-date info on the tournaments you want to head to. And that is your upcoming tournaments. As we mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to be talking about infinites. And we all know we love rules here in Smash Bros. We like banning shit, making it illegal. And one of the things that we don't really have many, really illegal a lot of the time are infinites. As we all know, NDS climbers do not live without them. They're always infiniting people. See cheese on that one. And the debate here is, should infinites be banned? Should we be banning infinites? Are they bad for the metagame? Are they good for the metagame? And Will, I want to ask you first because I believe you're, in terms of anything that's not an Ice Climber infinite, you say should be banned. Am I correct in saying that? Can you go on from that?
Well, yeah, I have a pretty strong opinion on infinites. Obviously, being a DK main, I've experienced a lot of them. Namely, obviously, the D2D standing chain grab. I'm pretty sure that was banned almost right away in Atlantic North, but it's still legal. So it's still legal in Midwest. It's still legal as far as I know I want to say in South America, because I know some people in Brazil and they've told me that it's legal and that's why people don't play DK there. So I think that's a little unfortunate. In terms of like the ice climbers, I at first, back when I was a scrub, like when I first started.
Wait, when you were a scrub?
When I was a scrub.
Oh, I don't know.
In 08. There was like one person maybe in the entirety of Atlantic North who knew how to chain grab with ice climbers, and his name was Sordo. That's his tag. And I actually train with him at Stony Brook University every week now. And there was a point where my first tournament I ever hosted where he placed like top 3 really easily because, he was just chain grabbing everybody, and we just saw it and we thought it was so broken. But thinking back then and looking on now what I know and having experience, it really is all that character has. Like, they can fight, but if they can't do stuff out of grabs, or if they can't chain grab you, it makes them that less viable of a character. And it's one of the things that makes them really good. So I really don't mind it, because you can easily play around the grab if you're a good player. Their grab range isn't that good, you can just outplay them. But yeah, definitely the DDD standing chain grab, I believe it's on DK, Mario, Luigi, Samus, Bowser.
It can work on other DDDs hanging off the edge, I believe.
Ah, okay. Like, I
Either
don't
way.
mind chain grabs in general, but like just the fact that, the infinite, I know there was a lot of discussion over it, and that it can be considered stalling, but I know that the percentage that they chose was like 300%, because, by that point, it's stalling because you could just kill them. But the thing is, I think it's kind of arbitrary to just throw out I know they're not throwing out 300%, and they probably, just made it like a dedicated number, but I don't know. I still think that it's still going to be like pretty much stalling if you're going to get them to up to 300% with a throw that by that point is so stale, it's probably doing like 3 or 4% every throw. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I actually disagree with the banning of infinites. I don't really feel so strongly about it that I would push for the legalization, because, it's not that important that they're legalized. But personally, I think that if there's going to be a ruling on the Ice Climber chain grabs being legal, then I think that ruling should stay consistent throughout all the other infinites in the game. I feel that DDD standing chain grab, small step chain grab, any infinite or, walking chain grabs on Ness and Lucas, anything like that, I definitely feel should be legal. It's not any kind of abuse of the game's mechanics. It's in the game. The characters have an extra 10 frames after their grab release, then so be it. And the character doesn't go far enough from DDD to avoid an extra grab without him moving, then so be it. I mean, it might sound ignorant because I do main Meta Knight. I don't play a character that's chain grabbable by DDD at all, let alone infinite chain grabbable. But I do think that the ruling should stay consistent. And certain matchups, like DDD versus Samus, that's pretty hopeless either way. I mean, I have a lot of experience with Samus, against Samus from Rhyme. I don't know if you guys, any listeners would know him, but he used to be the best Samus on the East Coast and has since retired. But trust me, that matchup is not viable no matter how you slice it. Samus is screwed either way. Mario and Luigi and DK, yeah, they can fight DDD. And that infinite is extremely matchup changing. But by the same token, like, a character like Jigglypuff can certainly fight the Ice Climbers. Jigglypuff can gimp Nana really well, has enough aerial mobility to avoid the Ice Climbers in the air, like in the same way that Meta Knight can dare camp them to bait some kind of reaction. Jigglypuff actually can fight the Ice Climbers in the air, believe it or not. But, one grab, which is not so difficult to get because the Ice Climbers can force that grab on her well, and there you go. It's like an 85-15 matchup. I'm not sure if that's exact, but, I'm just using an example. Think about characters like Falco. Falco can definitely fight the Ice Climbers, but he cannot avoid the grab very well, and once he gets that grab, then it's a stock. So why should characters like that be catered to? Like, why should Mario and Samus and DK be catered to when other characters that can go even like outfight the Ice Climbers, they get no love,
And as a mid-tier main, mid-high tier, I guess you want to say, like, I guess mid-low? Alright. I guess there would be some bias on my part for, like, trying to push for characters that don't have as much of a chance at tournament, but I do feel like the higher tier characters that I'm not mentioning can fight those characters simply because they have more potential and they are higher tier and they could deal with playing around the grab, like, more effectively. I'm almost even willing to concede that, like I'll say right now, even if the standing chain grab was legal, if it was legal, I would probably just play that much more, like, campy, just to try to avoid the grab that much more. And, like,
right,
I'm pretty sure I would change my playstyle if it was legal.
Right, look at how, a Falco has to fight the Ice Climbers. He can't be near them, So
Yeah.
I'm assuming you just changed the DK versus DDD matchup to something equally campy and annoying.
I just use even more back air and even less everything else.
Well, I mean, in my point on it, I just wanted to point out something earlier that Will said about stalling. I think 300 is a bit too high, a little excessive. I'd be fine with 200 or 250. Like, 250 seems fine to me. And, Will's completely correct. Eventually, it's going to stale out really well. It's completely arbitrary. But then, I hate the arbitrary argument, because everything's arbitrary to some point. But that's besides the point. Feel free to comment on that. But
I'm going to disagree with having a lower limit. 300 is just to ensure that they get the kill. And honestly, how long can it take? Like, if DDD tries to pummel to kill more time, DDD's pummel's really slow. They can break out if they want to try to kill more time like that, if they want to be stupid. And the 300%, it guarantees that a forward throw, a down throw, down tilt, or a back throw is going to end their stock, which is the deal. Like, when you grab them with the ice climbers, you don't want to have it limited to, like, they might die if they're Snake and I throw them at 120, as opposed to, I'm going to keep going till 135 just to make sure that they die from the sub smash.
Well, then wouldn't that be catering to the person who has the chain grab? Because you're changing, first of all, putting the limit, we put the limit on there to get rid of stalling. So right there, the limit's the constant. We have to find where the limit is at, a good point. But if you make it too high, then it takes longer. If you make it too low, then you're not ensuring the kill. But should we have to ensure the kill? Does an infinite have to kill?
I think that the entire point of an infinite is to kill, because otherwise it wouldn't be an infinite. Otherwise it would just be a lot of damage. Like, what would the ice climber chain grab be if they didn't have a guaranteed kill move out of it? And by legalizing something like the DDD infinite, you're effectively giving that character the same kind of ability. Like, now DDD can kill you from a grab at any percent, just like the ice climbers can also kill you from a chain grab at any percent.
Well, why wouldn't 250 be fine then?
Because say you're DDD and you're infiniting a DK, and you forward throw the DK and they back air to up B break at 250. I don't know the exact kill percent, but come on, like, that character's heavy as hell.
That's true.
So
300 you think is, good for where it is?
I think 300 is the good number for DDD's infinite. Other things, like the ice climber chain grab, I'm going to say 300 is definitely too high, but it's not. Like, how many times do you see people running the chain grab or running the timer by throwing their opponent back and forth with the ice climbers? Like, it just doesn't happen. When you get that grab, it's automatically, all right, now I'm going to take the stock. I'm not going to run the timer. Like, why would I want to run the timer? That's kind of senseless. It also gives you more of a chance to mess the chain grab up. That's a concern for some ice climber mains. I'm not going to mention any names, but some of them are very inconsistent with their ability to chain grab, so they're going to want to kill you as fast as they can. So that limit really doesn't need to exist, but it does just in case anybody feels like doing something ridiculous to run the timer anyway.
All right.
It's true. I haven't seen that really abused. Like, there hasn't been someone so consistent with chain grabs in tournament with nerves and, anxiousness and everything. It would make sense if they had already had a stock off of you, and if they wanted to try to kill a little time, maybe if they were already up a stock, and then they got to grab on your next stock to try to get as much percent up as possible, but pretty much, for the most part, they're always just going to try to get the kill as soon as possible, because there's always the possibility of people breaking out, which people are getting better at, as, people learn how to mash, which is funny to say, but there are some people that don't know how, myself being included. I could probably learn a few things from some of the expert mashers out there. Yeah, for the most part, ICs are just going to go for the kill. They're not going to abuse, because it's really hard to stay consistent up to that 300%.
Yeah, also, pro tip from a moderately good masher, the start button is really something you want to avoid.
Yeah, just the little white button, just pause, turn pause off. We mentioned this last time, just if you're playing a game and there's a good chance that you may hit pause, make sure you turn pause off before the match starts. That way, if you like to include pause into your mashing repertoire, as it may be, then you're off the hook.
Hopefully, we're getting word out to Nick Riddle, because I know he had a problem with that at MOT.
Poor guy.
Poor.
Pause was supposed to be off, but we're not going to.
The rule is ridiculous. But anyway, and I'm going to sort of direct this back at Will, because I don't like Will, but don't you think that? And this is a question. I don't know if it's your opinion or not. Do you think that infinites unnecessarily like make less characters viable? Do you think that if we got rid of them, more characters would be viable? And is that a good thing?
Well, in the case of the DDD Infinite, that's almost a certainty because, like, people wouldn't even, like, and I don't want to talk about, like, just like myself and what I've achieved recently, but people wouldn't believe that DK could even have a chance of coming close to beating a good DDD in tournament. Yet in Atlantic North, since the Infinite is banned, like, it's been proven that it's possible. And, like, people wouldn't know that. So they'd say, oh, the matchup's unwinnable anyway, so if we took the Infinite out, it wouldn't matter, right? But it's definitely not true. Like, I think we should give some of those characters a fighting chance. Like, just because they're mid-low in the tier list doesn't mean that they should be completely not viable. And just because there are mechanics in the game, like, we don't have to change and we could just let it play out. That goes both ways because there are definitely things that we have to change about the game because of its mechanics. I mean, I don't want to go into, like, ledge grab rule and stuff because that caters more to just one character, but, like, things with, like, I don't know, the Bowser suicides and the Ganon suicides, like, the way the game decides certain things, like, we have to change the way that those decisions are made in tournaments, so I don't think it's not really staying consistent if we don't try to make everything as fair as possible in the tournament scene and just kind of try to rely on the game's mechanics. I don't know.
All right, that's an interesting point. I've never heard anybody bring that up in that argument. I mean, mostly because I don't really pay attention to some of the ridiculous arguments that go on Smash boards. But, you know, I know where you're coming from with the whole we can't let the game decide everything, but what really struck me was when you said the whole Ganon and Bowser suicide. That definitely, that hit home. Because, anything else that you could have said, there would be a counter argument to, but that's really true. The game has a seemingly random or port-based way of deciding that, which I really disagree with. And we do need community-established rules to make sure that works well. Now, my only question to you is, as a dedicated DK main, would you not continue to play DK, even against DDD, if the Infinite was legal? I mean, personally, I feel like you would keep using the character, and like you said before, you would change your playstyle, and possibly even show us that, hey, even with the Infinite on, DK still can take out a top DDD from a tournament. And, you know, the Infinite is just avoid the grab, even though that's much easier said than done, especially against DDD in comparison to Ice Climbers. But, you know, you have those people who play characters that get mercilessly raped by the Ice Climbers, and you have those people that play Mario and DK that are in regions where the DDD Infinite exists, but none of them have, or most of them don't have the accomplishments that somebody like you has in the Atlantic North with that stuff illegal. So, do you think that you would switch characters or just give up hope on the matchup entirely? Or, you know, let's say that it's March 9th, 2008 and we never banned it. What would you do?
Alright, well, first of all, if it was March 9th, 2008, I would still be scared witless to ever even attempt using DK versus a DDD in tournament. Like, back then, I knew about the chain grab, I knew about the Infinite, I was like, wow, this is retarded, and I straight up, the first time I ever played Atomisk in tournament, it was at a game table in Minneola, I went straight Game & Watch, like, he didn't even see my DK at all. Like, so I definitely do have secondaries, and I would probably try it, maybe, depending upon, you know, how cocky I was, I guess, but it definitely depends on the stage. I feel like if our stage list wasn't as conservative, if there were more stages here in Atlantic North that I could, you know, have a choice of that would disrupt the grab more, I'd say the only stage I would probably fight DDD on if the Infinite was legal would be Brinstar, because at least that always has a chance, especially if you're getting Infinited, to disrupt the Infinite, because the asset's gonna come up. Pretty much, I'd probably just change characters, play a secondary. A lot of times that's what most DKs say to do now, but I don't necessarily agree with that. But that's pretty much everything on, I think, the DDD chain grab. There are a couple of other Infinites that I wanted to just briefly mention they're purely for stalling tactics, in my opinion. And I know one of them, I think Ike has an air release Infinite on Wario, and I believe that Yoshi does as well, or something like that.
Yes, they both do.
And I don't agree. I don't think those should be legal at all, because, like, if the stage doesn't change, and if it's a neutral, and if there's a lot of conditions, but I guess it would mostly be on a stage where if platforms aren't really going to disrupt it. And I'm pretty sure the air release with Ike on Wario it's kind of almost like a stationary thing. Like, you don't need that much room to do it.
Yeah,
So-
all it is a run past pivot grab. It really requires little to no space. I kind of see where you're coming from in the sense that it could be purely for stalling. At low percents, you know, Ike is not going to get that pummel in. Like, Wario's going to break out on ground release if he tries to pummel him and add any damage. So it just turns into Ike, you know, running back and forth past Wario, grabbing him until the timer runs out. And I do think that's stupid. I mean, is anybody going to do it? Probably not. But, you know, there's no real consistent way to limit that. We can't say, oh, you have to be putting damage on your opponent. It's kind of hard to enforce. It doesn't stay consistent with other things we've seen. If we banned it, then we'd have to also ban other infinites in terms of staying consistent. But I don't know. If it's possible to enforce something like you must deal damage to your opponent in order to do this grab release, then I would be okay with that. And, you know, same with Yoshi. It's actually, you know, it's a big part of the Yoshi versus Wario matchup that one grab is death. Especially because, you know, people make the argument for Ice Climbers, oh, well, it's very hard to get a grab. It's hard for Yoshi to grab Wario, too.
And Wario always air releases from Yoshi's grab, right? Is that
Yes,
true?
everyone always air releases from Yoshi's grab, except in very, very specific circumstances.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. We clearly see that Wario has no problem in tournament, and maybe that's just because there aren't many Yoshis. But, like, and you're saying, does people do these things all the time? They don't. So why ban something that is rarely done at all, that doesn't seem to have any effect on anything at all?
I don't know. I think that it's still prevalent just because people don't use the character as much. I wouldn't say necessarily it'd be something that should be specifically listed and banned, but if it was happening in tournament, I think it should be up to the TO's discretion. Like, the safest way to deal with it would be if the TO like considers it stalling, like, they're obviously going to be within their right to call it stalling and tell them to stop, or like give them a warning or something. So I guess that would be the best way to deal with it.
Yeah, I also agree. I think TO discretion is definitely the most efficient way of dealing with stalling related things. Like, you know, Scrooging, there's no how many times do you glide under the stage counter at the end of a match. So if it starts getting out of hand, then you do have to call the TO over. And if somebody breaks that little 300% limit with an infinite, you know, a TO's got to see it for it to count. So TO discretion really does make a big difference. I definitely agree with you on that. I think the main question we should be asking when it comes to infinites is, does this infinite create over-centralization, or does it completely invalidate a character? Or, you know, can somebody just pick this character and completely wipe out any hope of X, Y, and Z characters from appearing in the bracket?
And for that, I honestly think, as much as I'm not a huge fan of infinites, with that criteria, no, infinite shouldn't be banned. Because there is not an infinite that out there completely invalidates anyone. Even with DK, because, and I'm going to bring you up, Will, but you've taken out deities who can use the infinite and won, and it seems to me that until we get to a point where it's obvious that there's a problem, and there isn't. Even with the ice climbers aren't coming in, you know, first place all the time, because the chain grab you have to be perfect with it, and you have to get the grab, and not everybody uses ice climbers. Same with Dedede. Not only is Dedede beatable even with the infinite legal, but you still have to get the grab, and you still have to avoid not playing Will, because clearly Will can beat Dededes regardless. And so, no, I don't think Infinite's over-centralized at all. I think MK over-centralizes. Well, no. I hate MK. But overall, no. I don't think Infinite should be banned on that criteria. They don't over-centralize. Do they invalidate characters? Maybe. Like, a little bit. But it hasn't been true evidence of that yet, I don't think.
Alright, you know what? I'm willing to accept any money matches from any DDD at MLGDC that wants to money match me, DK versus DDD. I know Ook set this up at one point. He was going to do it, but I'll take on any DDD with standing chain grab legal. And
please give Will your money, guys. I really encourage it. What Rapture said earlier about the fact that the ice climbers don't win everything and they don't completely make characters disappear. You know, most anti-infinite people would say, well, it's much harder for the ice climbers to hit the grab because they have less grab range, they have less traction, you can kill Nana, etc. And those are all valid points, but it sounds too subjective. DDD does have a much easier time getting grabs. other things like Ike and Yoshi on Wario, that's kind of difficult to pull off. I don't think that the ability to kill Nana or push them back in their shield further should make the Ice Climbers chain grab any more viable or any more legitimate to be allowed in tournament than the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the Ice Climber, the thing about the Ice Climbers is, and I want to say this quickly, that don't be biased almost, like, don't, I hate the Ice Climbers. I hate them, like, fuck the Ice Climbers. But you gotta play them. And as I said, the Ice Climbers don't win everything. But overall, I think I would come to, and I know Will, he has this opinion, I have mine, Doom has his, I don't think Infinite should be banned on that criteria. Do I hate them? Yeah, I really don't like Infinites. I don't think they're the best thing to watch people just get Infinites on people. I think chain grabs are cool looking, not Infinites. But, that's just, if you guys have input on the, Infinite discussion on how we talked or any points you'd like to make, you can feel free to leave feedback and comments on, this site, that site, the other site, etc. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. Though we don't have a MySpace, I don't know why I said that. And, let us know how you feel. So tonight was actually interesting because first off, Will almost died, and I'll get into that quickly. And then Matt couldn't show up, so we were looking for a guest, and we always love guests. And before we got Doom, we asked DM Brandon if he would like to join us on the show for tonight. And he claimed this was the last minute thing, but it wasn't. He was actually one of the first people we asked. Actually, the first person we asked, I think. And Will, what exactly did he say in response? I think it was like he can't be on the show because VVV needs to suck 20 dicks.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And
so ridiculously in character of him.
And as much as I would like to find 20 dicks maybe to make that happen, we couldn't make that happen. So unfortunately he's not going to join us. We have Doom, which is sort of obvious. And as we got Doom, we then discussed how the fact that Will survived what seemed like a very epic, in a bad way, night. And Will, I'm sure you'd like to tell us about that.
Oh yeah, I'll pretty much just, I'll recap. I can actually go through what I wrote on my Facebook.
I just want to know, why exactly this happened and what exactly happened to you, because I'm going to tell you right now, and I know that there was a mini version of me there you mentioned that didn't want to leave because of the bad guys outside, but lock your windows and lock your doors, because there's a murderer in Maris, Long Island. Fuck out of there.
Yeah, I don't know. He was climbing in everybody's windows, apparently.
Snatching people up and killing them, and then dropping them off in parking lots.
I don't know. I was working at the library.
Killing your wife and your kids.
And one of the custodians came up to me, and he was like, yeah, so I heard there's 2 dead bodies that were just found outside, and there's police cars and news crews and everything. I was like, are you serious?
Nonchalantly, hey, by the way, there's 2 dead bodies outside.
Yeah, it's just a rumor.
So
I was like,
dead bodies.
Dead bodies.
So, I go to walk to my car behind the library, parked in front of the auto place, which is literally where one of the dead bodies was found, in the street, next to my car or somewhere around it, which is, really creepy to think about.
It's a message. You're next.
And, I walk outside and there was cop cars blocking my way out and caution tape crossing the road. So I was like, oh, this is a cool town I live in. I don't know. It was really annoying. And I trolled some people. I was telling them that they took me in for questioning and they were interrogating me. And I was gonna tell people actually that the cops let me take my laptop and record my.
We were gonna have a cop on the show.
So totally fell for that trolling, by the way.
Good job. Way to let him know. But and obviously Will got out, and we want to stress this. And I think we talked about this when we talked about Viva Smash. A few episodes back. Don't leave wherever you are, right? And this applies to venues, right? Don't, because you're gonna get stabbed or killed or something. And clearly you can't leave the library either, because you know what Will does for a living? He sits at the library and talks to me on AIM.
Yo, don't hate.
I get home from school every day on the weekdays, and look who's on AIM, it's Will. Why? Because he works at the library and jerks off all day. That's all he does.
You have to give me props. You have to give me props for finding this job, alright?
Yeah, I will give you
props. Props to Will. That is really good.
He finds a job that does no effort involved, and he gets paid some mad dime for that shit.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that sounds like a pretty terrible job to have. I would be so stressed sitting at the library and jerking off all day.
he has to hit a quota every hour.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so it's actually it's quite epic. So if you think about it, Will's in the middle of jerking off, and someone tells him there's 2 dead bodies. He can't jerk off anymore.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I have
It's
to hit a
pretty
quota
terrible.
of.
You lose that no, you can't do it anymore. But and I want to stress this to everybody, and Will, I want you to explain to us. I heard you have a survival guide. How to not die when there's 2 dead bodies around? Like, what was your steps?
Basically, when you hear news like that, and if you hear rumors like that, the best thing to do in my situation was what I did was I talked to one of the security guards. I made sure I was informed as to what was happening. Make sure that if you did hear that something was going on, that there are police around, because if you're in the presence of the cops, then that's pretty much going to shut down most of any problems, anything dramatic that might happen. Because if they're on the scene, then usually they're taking care of everything. So, I mean, I was pretty scared when I heard about it, but like real talk, what happened? I just found out was that I'm pretty sure it was drug related. The crimes. I'm not really sure if it was a murder or what, but like I don't want to make a joke about it. Like I was really scared when I heard about that people literally there were corpses surrounding my workplace.
It was terrible because when he told me on AIM, I said, "LOL, that sucks." Like I was joking, but I was like,
I don't want to make too much of a joke about it, but like, yeah, just be careful when you hear news like that. Make sure you're informed and just get home safe.
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers, especially the
And
ones with
apparently,
candy or drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, kid.
Because like gang-related stuff like this happens, and it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, I'm glad I moved from Long Island, bro. Like, the fuck
Yeah,
does that?
That's pretty scary. I live in like Christmas Town, so I'm pretty safe up here.
I
You're
live
like
in
in the woods.
I live in the woods too. Like, if
I
something
would love to
dies,
live
it's a
in a woods
raccoon.
like that.
No, you don't actually, because here's what happens when you live in the woods, right?
Are you attacked by bears?
Well,
Does that happen?
it's bears just nonchalantly walk across your backyard, right?
Oh wow.
So if you're in a bad mood and you
Those
just
bears don't give a fuck.
they don't give a fuck, dude. Seriously, bears will just literally just walk wherever they want. It doesn't matter what they do. Bears will just do it. And if you're in a bad mood one day and you just had to piss a bear off, like you're fucked, right? And then you have coyotes, right? And coyotes, what they do is they go like 100 feet back from like the border of the woods and where it's actually habitable by your house, and they just howl for no reason whatsoever and keep you up all night. Which is what happened last night, actually. The coyotes just decided, it's the beginning of October. Why don't we just piss everybody the fuck off, right? 2 fucking hours. 2. Of just going on and on and on and on. And then we found out, because I went in the woods later, and they weren't close by. It was a rabbit that was dead. They didn't eat it. It was just there. It's just chilling. Dead rabbit. Also, in the woods, nobody can hear you scream when you're getting raped. So,
Out of the woods.
so just stay out of the woods. If you live in the woods, don't. Right?
Dakota sounds like he knows that from experience.
Well,
yeah.
because you have to. It's survival of the fittest, So sometimes you gotta give a little to experience it a bit. And I'm not admitting to anything, but I know my way around.
You've either witnessed or
Witnessed or participated in woodland rape. But no, it's not a safe world out there, guys. I mean, it's not. And I'm gonna say this to my man D-Rock, right? D-Rock is, if you guys don't know, he's the best wolf player in the world right now. He hails from Storrs, Connecticut, which is not that far from me actually, and he became very good friends with Will here and myself, to the point that I admitted to him that I love him. And this is a real person, by the way. D-Rock. He goes by D-Rock. D-Rock 1000.
I know who he is.
Yes.
Yo, shout outs to D-Rock. He's the
D-Rock
best.
is like literally. All right, I'm gonna be
Just
dead serious.
being random as hell.
No. See,
He's
here's
the
what I
best
don't
carpool
understand.
to MLGDC that
Oh, yeah.
I almost had.
He's really legit. But here's what my shout out to him, what I'm saying is that if he is a troll, he is the best troll ever, okay? Because here's what he does. He asks you questions, like really legitimate, serious questions, and you can't tell if he's being sincere or not. And I think he is. I think he's not like trolling because it doesn't seem like it. Like I think he's actually like a nice person, unlike the most like rest of us. But like I remember when Will sent him something and he replied back, like literally these questions were like really legit, like interrogation questions. He wants to know, and then be honest. You gotta be honest too when you answer them. But the reason why I'm saying this is because D-Rock also lives in Connecticut. And we gotta keep players like D-Rock safe. Because it's what makes players like D-Rock our community, it keeps our community good. So when we hear about, stuff like this, we want to make sure it's not guys like D-Rock. We want to make sure it's guys like Will, who get raped in the woods. Because, because at the end of the day, we're going to appreciate guys like D-Rock more. We're going to appreciate guys like Will.
Moral of the story is, don't get booty raped. Stay indoors.
Any stranger with a lot of candy.
Yes, the van and candy combo. No.
By the way, guys, it's not a dick. It's a mouth-based video game.
Alright, it is outro time. Yay. No, not yay. That sucks. I always hate it when we're done with recording. But anyway, it's the end of episode 6. First off, shout out to VV for hosting the show. Awesome job by you guys. That includes me. Yay. Shout out to the Smash community for being awesome. Keep giving us feedback. I would like to also give a shout out to Doom for joining us today. Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
That was really awesome of you.
Finding 20 dicks.
Yeah, DM Brandon. Shout out to DM Brandon for wanting 20 dicks or something. That's a rumor. Maybe. But, yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to everyone participating in running the tournaments mentioned earlier. I would also like to make sure that everybody knows that they can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Follow my Twitter at twitter.com/@VVRapture. I also give updates on random shit. Our Facebook page, Directional Influence, you can look us up. And you can also leave us feedback and comments and shit on our All Is Well post as well as the VV Gaming site. You can check out the forums there. And that seems to be it. And next week we will hopefully have Matt back and maybe a guest or two. We will be talking about whatever the hell we want because that's what we do. And that is it for us today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll guys see you next week on Directional Motherfucking Influence.
One final shout out to Cheese wearing hats to tournaments.
Dude, I didn't even know. He's never worn a fucking hat to a tournament ever. I deny that.
No. Cheese does not want to get dressed up for a bunch of nerds.
Because, no, I can understand that, but like the 2 times I've been to a tournament with Cheese there, the first time was at Sea King, and that's when he played me in singles and raped me. Didn't wear a hat. Then at Game Table in July, where we played you guys, and I think that was actually the first time I met you, Doom, even though we didn't really converse. And,
Sea King too, actually.
yeah, I know, but I didn't, at once, yeah.
Reacted.
Yeah. And he wasn't wearing a hat at Game Table either.
Yeah, he has never worn. I don't think he owns a hat.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't fucking wear hats.
I posted that.
I wear hats. I don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
I've never seen any picture I've seen of him doesn't wear a hat.
I really hope that makes it into the final cut, by the way.